Hello, my name is William Murphy, and I'd like to welcome you all to the webinar today for the introduction webinar for the advisors who are going to be involved in the results-based agri environmental REAP scheme, the REAP pilot. We'll have a number of speakers today. I'll introduce them as they're coming along. Just to start the ball rolling, I'll introduce you first to our Senior Inspector, Eoin O'Brien. Eoin is going to give you an overview of REAP, what it entails and what the objectives of the pilot are. Over to you, Eoin.
Okay, thank you very much, Willie. Like Willie said, I'd like to welcome, both on behalf of myself and Miriam Cadwell's divisions, we'd like to welcome everybody here today. We fully appreciate that it's a hugely busy time of the year for you, and we very much appreciate the fact that you've taken the time out to join the webinar. I see there's over 400 people joined there at the moment, which is great to see. I'm not going to go into huge detail on REAP, the presentations you're going to get will do that, but just to say that we see advisors as playing a huge role in the scheme, a very important role, and we really look forward to the engagement with yourselves over the next 2 years. There'll be a series of training events, documents produced, videos produced over the course of the event. This is a great opportunity to test the concept of the results-based system in a national level. There's lots of examples at a smaller scale around the country, but this is the first time we're going to be doing it at a national scale. We will come across lots of challenges as we go through it, and as I said, we look forward to resolving those challenges and working through the challenges over the 2 years. You're going to hear some very interesting presentations from a number of areas in the department, and there'll be opportunities via the chat system to submit questions, and also questions can be submitted afterwards. So I appreciate that everybody is hugely busy, so I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but just to say thanks again, and I'll hand you back to Willie, who's going to look after us for the day. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that, Eoin. Just to say, we have, as I said, we have 4 individual speakers who will go through different areas of REAP. There is a chat function available on the webinar, so at any stage you can submit whatever questions are relevant at the time, and we'll deal with all questions at the very end. We won't do them at the end of each of the individual presentations. We'll set a limit of maybe an hour and 10 minutes for the webinar today. We'll try and keep it to that. We won't get all questions answered, obviously, but we will endeavour at the end of it to answer as many as we can, and we will give an assurance that whatever questions can't be answered today, that we will get the answers on those out as quickly as possible, probably through a frequently asked questions document. Hopefully we'll get that sent out then within the next few days. So to start the ball rolling, I'll introduce you to Stephen Casey, who's working on the REAP pilot, and Stephen is going to give you an introduction to the terms and conditions of the pilot. Over to you, Stephen.
Okay, thanks Willie for that. We'll just have a look at the terms and conditions and a general overview of the Results-Based Environment Agri Pilot Programme, REAP. So it's a pilot project to provide an opportunity to introduce new participants to environmentally friendly, results-based farming practices. It's jointly funded by the National Exchequer and European Union under Article 51, which is technical assistance, of EU Regulation 1305/2013. It will inform the development of future agri-environment schemes in the next RDP through testing the results-based approach. I suppose the idea is to reward farmers for maintaining and enhancing the sustainability of agricultural grasslands, field boundaries and margins. It will involve cooperation between the department, agricultural advisors and the participating farmers. It will run for a duration of 2021 and through 2022. As I mentioned there earlier, it uses the results-based approach, which would contrast with the prescribed choice of actions that we might have been familiar with in previous schemes, such as GLAS. Of course, this isn't the first time we've seen a results-based approach. We've already seen it in some of the locally led projects, such as the Bride or the Burren or the Hen Harrier, but this will be the first time we'll have seen it on a national level. What will happen is the payments will be linked to environmental quality, in addition to a payment for participating in the project. So the higher the score awarded, the higher the payment will be. The objectives of REAP are to test the potential suitability of a national results-based system, to identify training needs, to identify the barriers to buy-in, and to raise awareness of biodiversity and other ecosystem values. To test the suitability of the department procedures and systems, to identify control and inspection implications, and to test the monitoring and evaluation needs. In terms of the land conditions required for the project, the overall area should be a minimum of 2 hectares and a maximum of 10 hectares, except for partnerships, which we'll have a look at later. Commonage land and land containing heather are not eligible, and fields without hedgerows and where the boundary is defined by permanent fencing can be included. In terms of the eligibility criteria, it'll be required to engage the services of an advisor for the duration of the project. An active herd number is required. The land will have to have been declared on the 2020 BPS application. Even if it's declared on 2021 or 2022, unfortunately, it won't be eligible because I suppose that the timing issue of this project launching, and by the time we'd actually get the 2021 BPS data, we wouldn't unfortunately be able to use it. The participant must not have been approved at the GLOS, organics or other EIPs, and they must satisfy the training requirements as the project progresses. In terms of the application requirements then, it'll be submitted online by the advisor. There's one application for herd number or partnership number. It's after this then that the advisor will assess the land and all that. Following this then, once the plan of action has been determined, the advisor will come back at the end of the year and they'll give a score to the farmer. That score then generates the pay claim as it's input into GLOS or into the GLAM system. The payments then, 1,200 is the participation-based payment. The environmental payment, that's our results-based element, it's linked to assessment. Its low input scorecard allows up to €400 per hectare, and the multi-species lay scorecard allows up to €250 per hectare. If you select the low input grassland scorecard, you're also entitled to claim €50 per hectare on the late meadow cutting bonus payment. Finally then, you have a complementary actions allowance. This is 1,200 for the duration of the project. There are 3 complementary actions there: your tree planting, your hedge planting, infilling of gaps. Essentially, the advisor and the applicant can sit down and determine where that 1,200 goes. In the event that the project is oversubscribed, we have ranking and selection criteria. There are 2 separate groups. The first group, Group 1, is for if your nitrates livestock manure level prior to exports is lower than 140 kgs. The second group then is if you're equal to or above 140 kgs. We're using the 2019 data. The criteria remains the same for the 3 groups. It's essentially your the status of your water, the Natura and the ANC on your holding for both groups. And also we would take into consideration geographical balance if required. In terms of what participants will do, in year 1, they'll participate in training and on-farm assessment with the advisor. They'll work with the advisor to optimize scores and implement relevant actions, and they'll engage with the advisor in the scoring process. In year 2, the training will be ongoing. They'll continue to implement the relevant actions for optimum scoring. We'll be looking for feedback to see how they're getting on. And finally then, we'll participate in year 2 scoring. In terms of the advisor then, the department will not have a contractual relationship with advisors and will not be liable for payment of advisor fees or expenses. The contractual relationship will be between the advisor and the applicant. Advisors must attend compulsory REAP project training prior to completing GLAM's mapping tasks and submitting assessments on behalf of the farmer. Advisors will be responsible for on-field land assessment and scoring and for ongoing guidance of their clients throughout the term of the pilot. And to ensure knowledge transfer to farmers, advisors will involve their clients in the assessment and scoring functions. In terms of partnerships then, we said when we come back to them, there's 2 hectare minimum per partner must be brought into the project. And then there's a minimum combined area of 12 hectares for 2 partners and 22 hectares for 3 partners. In turn then, the maximum areas are 20 hectares if 2 partners are involved and 30 hectares if 3 partners are involved. The payment will be multiplied by the number of holders up to a maximum of 3. So we would have held our public consultation earlier in the year between January the 29th and February the 26th. And we received 1,581 submissions. Of these, 76% of respondents sought maintenance of existing features rather than creating new ones to be included in the project. 86% believe that linking payments to environmental results can benefit the environment and biodiversity. Also, hedgerows were frequently cited as an area to be supported and have been included. And finally, the importance of training was outlined to us, just so that the participants are trained sufficiently so that they can engage fully with the project. We'll just have a look at a few key provisional dates. The application process is open now until May the 10th. with approval letters to issue in May and the advisor training to kick off in early June. We spoke earlier there about the assessments and how that leads into the pay claims. Further details will issue to outline the mechanics of the pay claim process through a circular. However, those claims have to be in by the 31st of July for the low input grassland scores, and in the first year, the 15th of August for the autumn sown multi-species. Finally then, the payments will issue in December. Thanks very much. So we move on back to Willie.